Exercise 9.1, Project Management with Smartsheet. As you read in the exercise directions, the scenario for this exercise is that you're trying to choose a small business management system for your company. Now, you won't be creating the system yourself, you'll be purchasing the system from a vendor. But you have to choose the best system for your company, and you have to work with the vendor to have it installed and get your employees trained so that it can be used to support your company's strategy. To begin, make sure you sign up for a trial with Smartsheet using something other than your OU email account. Once you verify your account from the email sent to you, you're ready to begin. Now, when you first log into Smartsheet, it will prompt you to create a new project. If for some reason you don't have that screen, your screen will look like this, and you can simply press on Create New. For this exercise, we are going to choose a blank project because we're going to create our project from scratch, and we can choose Create Sheet. Go ahead and name your sheet with your last name, and this will be our MIS project. Press OK, and we're ready to actually put in the content for our project. The first thing you want to do when you are setting up a brand new project is to adjust the columns, because of course this designates how everything else in the sheet will be laid out. So we're going to change our primary column to task, and to do this you can just double click on the current one. We're going to change it to task, and by default the very first column has to be a text number, which is fine with us, and we'll press OK. Now we want column 2 to be our percent complete, so I'm going to double click. I want this to be percent complete, and we're literally going to show how far along each task or phase is. So in this case, we're going to change it to a drop-down list, and we're going to create our own numbers. So it can be 0% complete, 25, 50, 75, or 100. So we have 5 different values that we'll be able to choose from in this column. For column 3, we want it to be assigned to, and this is so everyone knows who is assigned to what task or phase. And we are going to use our contact list as the type for this one because this will enable us to choose people from our contact list, and of course we will have all the members of our project in the contact list. Column 4 is going to be our start date. And of course it's a date, so we'll choose date. Column 5 is our finish date. Column 6, let's scoot over here a little. Column 6 is going to be our duration. And the duration is how long is each task or phase. So if it's going to take 6 days, it would be a 6. And this is just a number because it's the number of days. We'll press OK. And then we need one more column over to the right. So I'm going to right click on my duration column heading and choose Insert Column to the right. This one is going to be our predecessor or previous step. And predecessor, whoops. If I can type that. All right, it's going to be text number, and the predecessor just means what step do I have to complete before I can start the current step. So it's really very straightforward. All right, I'm going to adjust the column widths just a little bit so I can see everything in my window, and to do that you just take your mouse in between 2 headings and drag it back and forth. This will give you the ability to adjust as necessary, and I just want to be able to see everything. Okay, that should do it. Now that our column headings and the data types are set, we can go in and adjust the project settings. And to do that, you simply right-click on any of the column headings, excuse me, and choose Edit Project Settings. Now we're going to just adjust the dependency settings. And the first part says you want the date column, the start date column to be start and the end to be finished. That's great. We're going to leave the percent complete column alone, but we do want to adjust the dependencies, and the dependencies simply say, I need to make sure that I finish this step before I move on to the next step. And how are those steps related? And this does a couple of things. One, of course, it forces us to finish one step before the next step if necessary, and it also creates a relationship between each of those steps and the dates in which you're going to start and finish those steps. So this becomes really important. So we're going to check the dependencies enabled button. And it says a column name predecessor exists on your sheet. Do you want to enable dependencies? Yes. Right. The predecessor column is going to be predecessor. Keep that as is. And the duration column we want to keep as duration. Now the one other thing we want to change in here is, since we're going to start this project on November 1st, we're going to run into a holiday. If you start it on another day, you would want to make sure that any holidays within that timeline are accounted for. So if you need to adjust for a holiday, you're going to go into Edit and then choose a non-working day. I'm going to click on the calendar and choose Thursday, November 24th, because that is Thanksgiving and no one wants to work on Thanksgiving. Press OK. Now that will be held out in our timeline. Press OK. All of the settings are ready, so we can go ahead and put in the actual content for our project. Now we need to put the data inside our sheet, and in the spirit of making this a learning activity and not busy work, you can just copy paste all of the details that we're going to put in here from the exercise directions that I created for you. So go ahead to the exercise directions, and we're going to copy all the way from planning down through, whoops, not that far, just this sheet, down through the perform additions predecessor number. And I'm simply going to, you can either right click and copy or Command or Control C. I'm going to go back to my account and now make sure you are under task in row 1. Click on that cell and go ahead and paste your information in. And what this should do, it should put all of the tasks in the tasks column. Your percent complete should all be 0. There will be nothing in assigned to, start, or finish. Your duration days should be in there, and nothing will be in predecessor. So if you've done that correctly, this is what it will look like. With the main data in, we can start actually playing with the setup and making sure that all of our timeline is complete. The first thing we want to do is note that there are phases and there are tasks. So there are 7 phases: planning, analysis, design, so on and so forth, and you can see those in bold in the table in the assignment directions. What we want to do is take all of the tasks under each phase and indent it. And to do that, you can right-click on each task and choose Indent, or you can use the Command plus K or Control K if you're using a PC. And what this does is each time you indent something, and I'm going to move to my keyboard shortcuts, it creates this little, well, it's a minus right now, but what it says is, okay, I know that all 3 of these, because they're indented, are in the planning phase. And if I want to collapse my planning phase, I can simply hit that button and it will collapse planning. And if I want to see all the tasks inside the planning phase, I can press the plus button to expand it. So go ahead and make sure you indent all of the tasks under each phase. I'm not going to go through all of these with you individually, but now that you know how to do it, it should be very easy. If for some reason you accidentally indent something and you didn't mean to, all you need to do is right-click and choose Outdent, or again, Command or Control M. With the tasks and phases now all set, let's move over to the predecessors. Now, unfortunately, the predecessors didn't come in when you copy-pasted, so we will have to do those by hand. But this gives us an opportunity to make sure we understand what this means. So right now, I am at step 3, or what Smartsheet considers step 3, even though technically it's only the second step. But we're in row 3 right now, and we want to say that for this step, to determine the high level, we need to make sure first that we have a team together. And that's step 2. So I need to make sure that step 2 is complete before I begin this step. Right. Likewise, to determine the budget, of course, I need to make sure that we have already determined our high-level objectives, which is step 3. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put all of our steps in here. And it's important that all of your steps are correct. So don't just randomly put numbers in here. They do need to actually match the numbers given in the project, which took far more time to put together than it probably should have. But you can benefit from my work and just follow the numbers that I have. Now we don't put predecessor steps for the phases because the phases will automatically summarize all of the tasks in each phase. And that happens magically, which is great. Okay, now you're saying, I've been doing a lot of typing, this is kind of a pain. Well, there's a reason we do all of this. Remember, we set the duration and the predecessor up so that we know how long this all takes. Now we know what steps depend on other steps being completed. Now it's time to put in the start date. And under the assemble team members, this is kind of hard to see. I'm going to double click in between task and percent complete, and it will automatically fit that column to the longest content. So the cell that's the widest. That's a really easy way to make sure you can see all of your content. I'm going to scoot over just a little. And I know this one's a little bit bigger than it needs to be. All right, here we go. All right, now with the predecessors and all of that set, we want to put our start date. And we want to make sure that our start date goes in the correct portion. So it doesn't actually go under the planning phase. We want it to be on the first task. So make sure you click in the cell under start date for the assemble team members, which is the very first task. And we are going to start our task or our whole project on November 21st. So go ahead and press November 21st. And what magically happens is that all of the data, all of the start and finish dates come in for us. Pretty handy. See, so I didn't make you type as much as you thought you would. And what's great is if you go back and you have to change a predecessor or you need to change a duration of something, everything in the sheet will update automatically. So it makes it really, really handy. Now a message just popped up saying it's been 10 minutes since I last saved. Do make sure you save. If for some reason you don't see that pop up, do make sure you go over and press the save button over in the toolbar on the left hand side. All right. By the way, this toolbar over on the left hand side lets you edit all sorts of things. You can indent over here too, or outdent. You have all sorts of different formatting options. You also have the ability to change views. So right now I have a grid view. If I wanted to go over to the Gantt chart view, which is something awesome that Smartsheet automatically puts together for you, you simply click on that button and then you can drag your screen over and then actually see the Gantt chart that it's put together for you. So you didn't have to actually manually do any of that, it's just done. You can also toggle to a calendar view, and we'll adjust the calendar settings in a step coming up. But that's where you would get to it. All right, so I'm going to go back to my grid view, and we've completed a bunch of steps together. I'm going to leave you to complete numbers 6 through 14. And as you finish number 13, you will see that 14 explains to you how to publish your project, and that will give you a URL. It's that URL that you will use to submit to Blackboard so I can grade your exercise. Good luck and enjoy getting to know Smartsheet.